skin patch test, you know, you're going to drop your essential oil in there.
When did you do one as an example?
Yes, and when you're working with a client, it's really useful to blend the oil with a little base oil beforehand, because you really don't want a client to experience anything too adverse. And sometimes, you know, the burning of cinnamon, for example, can be quite unnerving. The intense cold and followed by rapid heating of, which is called rubefacient effect, of peppermint can be really unnerving, and you know, a lot of people just don't want to experience that.
The thing that's really important about sensitivity is that you'll see people who will suddenly develop a rash and they say, well, it can't possibly be this oil because I've been using this oil for years or months or weeks, so it can't possibly be that because I've never had a reaction to it. And they don't realise that the sensitization effect can happen over a course of time, and you suddenly basically trigger an overreaction of your immune system, which is what an allergic response is, really. So yeah, it's something to sort of keep in mind if you have someone who says, oh, I've got this weird rash, you know, and you ask them what oils they're using, and they say, well, I've been using those for years and never had a problem. You might want to tell them about sensitization. And I'm not sure what Dorene told you while I was gathering some oils for us to test, but I think the most, it's kind of, I mean, I call it fun because I'm a geek, right? I like experimenting on myself, but obviously if you're working with clients with aromatherapy or with, you know, kids and different groups, you're not going to be testing things to try and get a reaction. You're going to be testing the dilution that you're proposing to use, and you're going to be testing it in the way that you're going to use it. So if you're going to be using it in a diffuser, you might test it in a diffuser and keep a close watch on everybody and make sure you don't have a reaction. If you're going to be using it in a 2% dilution in coconut or sweet almond oil, that's what you're going to test, right? But when you're looking to experiment on yourself a little bit and see, you know, what is the worst that could happen if someone puts straight cinnamon on themselves, like Dorene, to do it with something that kind of is going to cause a bit of a reaction, right? Where you'd never do that with a client. She's got clove, right? She's hardcore. But of course, we'd never advocate this if you had any conditions, you know, personally, like if you were pregnant or elderly or had high blood pressure or anything like that, then you're not going to be experimenting on yourself. But skin patch testing, super easy. There's really no magic to it. And this is
basically, I'm going to take my oil, and here I have clove bud essential oil, and of course clove can come from the leaf or the bud. It's Yigzaw aromaticum. I'm going to place a few drops right here.
And then we're going to cover it with a Band-Aid, which is probably not going to want to stick now. Oh,
yes, it will.
Let's see. Okay.
So we're going to leave that on for...
wipe off some of that extra. You don't need to take a bath in it.
So we're going to leave that on for, let's say, 20 minutes. So by 25 to 3... we'll see what's happened.
Or until she starts to get a reaction.
Yeah.
At that point, we're going to wash it off.
Yeah.
But this is a really good thing for people to do because you will meet these people, right? You meet them in every industry. You meet them, master gardeners know this, you meet the people who say, oh, I drink Roundup. Like, Roundup is so safe, I would drink it. And you meet the people who say, essential oils are so safe, I would drink, you know, I take half a bottle of oregano every day and I never get a cold and it's so safe. Whoa. Nelly, it's super strong, and while it certainly is an amazing oil and has a lot of potential benefits, eventually your body's going to hit that point where your liver says, dude, I cannot deal with any more ketones, and you're going to start having a problem. So, you know, these kind of tests can show people how powerful they are really simply without them really having exposure to a lot of potential harm.
Well, should we look at my... So here we've done a skin patch test. We've dropped clove bud, Yigzaw aromaticum, onto my arm, and it was undiluted. It's been on there for 20 minutes, and I mean,
I think the red's from the Band-Aid.
It's a little red. It stung a little bit.